Good definition, and really what the difference is what the second word says. The difference is inexperience. Innocence is not just of a sexual nature, it's also of an intellectual nature. So innocence is what we describe as children because they haven't lived. It's recording now, that's the good news, okay? So I'm actually here on the Blake website. This is devoted to his works. I like it because you can find, it gives you the biography of him. He's pretty cool. He was very much a forward thinker in his day, but you can look at just some of his illustrations are unbelievable. There's something about that when you get the illustrations and the coloring, then you really get some insight into what the poet was trying to do. He actually was very religious but progressive in a sense, and his god was called Urizen, which was, I had a instructor at Tech who really loved Blake, and he went in a lot of depth about what he did. I'm not going to do quite so much with you guys. We've got about, we're doing about 3 or 4 of his poems is all, but I happen to be a fan of his because of that instructor. So if you look on the page on 737, you can see the cover of Songs of Innocence. I've got it actually a slightly different, trying to figure out how to get to my pictures on the computer. Here we go. All right. Title page of Innocence. This will be the one that you see on your page there, and you can look at it and see that this picture is colored differently, isn't it? I'm going to kind of move it around a little bit. The one in the book, it's much darker. This is a much lighter one. So that's what's unique about Blake's work is that anytime you look at a different copy of the book, it's going to be different just because of how it was colored in. But when you look at Songs of Innocence, you can see, I'll scroll. We've got this one tree. And do y'all remember when I talked about when there's one tree, what it symbolizes? In the Bible, it's the tree of what?
Life.
No, it's not life. It's the tree of knowledge is what they eat of, okay? And that's what's the difference between innocence and experience is knowledge. You've got the mother with the 2 children reading the book. In the picture, there are all kinds of people in the pictures. You've got something that looks like an angel here. There's a little person in the O. There's another person. And sometimes gender is difficult to tell with Blake because he really preferred things to be non-gender specific. There's another, do you see the person with it looks like a pipe here? This would be like the Pied Piper, or this is the storyteller. And you can tell this one says 1789. I'm trying to think. It says 1789 also on the one in the textbook. But it's just, this was what makes him so unique is that he did all this. And then you've got a copy of the Chimney Sweep. Let me go open up Chimney Sweeper right here. Come on, open up. And I'll blow that up a little bit. And again, it doesn't look exact. It looks like he was in a much darker place. The one that we're seeing in our textbook is a lot darker than the pictures here. But you can see you have all these little children, and it looks like there's a man, and he's helping someone out of the water, it looks like. And then again, you have that tree. And so I just want to read this poem to you very quickly. If you'll follow along in the book, you'll notice how many stanzas are there?
6.
6. So that's the equivalent of 6 paragraphs, okay? And we're going to see that it's A, A, B, B, C, C, D, D, and then if it repeats in the stanzas. When my mother died, I was very young, and my father sold me while yet my tongue could scarcely cry, weep, 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 weep. So your chimneys I sweep, and in soot I sleep. There's little Tom Dacre who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved. So I said, hush, Tom, never mind it, for when your head's bare, you know that the soot cannot spoil your white hair. And so he was quiet, and that very night, as Tom was asleep, and he had such a sight, that thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. And by came an angel who had a bright key, and he opened the coffins and set them all free. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run, and wash in a river, and shine in the sun. Then naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise upon clouds and sport in the wind. There's a sight rhyme right there. And the angel told Tom if he'd be a good boy, he'd have God for his father and never want joy. And so Tom awoke, and we rose in the dark and got with our bags and our brushes to work. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. This is a very political statement. And if you look at it, it says, in the first stanza, it says, my mother died when I was young, and my father sold me. This is England. Parents, oh goodness gracious. Parents had the right, they could sell their children. So who was this child sold to? Any ideas?
Someone who had like a chimney, or like a lot of them.
Well, it would be sold to a chimney sweep, somebody whose job was to clean the chimneys. Why would they buy little children?
Because they were
So
small.
they could clean the chimney.
Yeah, they were small enough to climb up the chimneys. You've heard those horror stories or those stories about the stupid robbers who are robbing someplace and they try to go up the chimney to get out and they get stuck. That's what happens when you're a full-size person. And so you take these children of poor people and you send them up the chimneys to clean them. So what's going to happen to those little kiddos when they go up those chimneys while they're cleaning? Any ideas?
Because they're gonna get soot on them.
Well, even more so than getting soot on them, they're going to inhale it. And just like the miners, coal miners get black lung, these little children are going to get it. And so these children were being sold basically to go up and die in these chimneys. So look at, I think it's the fourth stanza, and by came an angel who had a bright key. Who's the angel? If you finish reading that, and he opened the coffins and set them all free. What are their coffins?
The chimneys.
The chimneys, okay? And so the angel then would be the angel of
Death.
death. There you go. And they set them all free. Then down on a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run and wash in a river. There's this very image of baptism, okay? And shine in the sun. And we can take sun to be a couple of things, all right? Then naked and white, all their bags left behind. They rise upon clouds and sport in the wind. They're going to heaven, okay? And maybe that's part of the reasons why we think, the angels are in the clouds or something. And it's an interesting way to present a very real problem in England at the time, the selling of these children into basically slavery and death. And what's interesting is did you notice how it was very bouncy? I could have read it, when my mother died, I was there. You can read it and it's very sing-songy so that it almost sounds like a children's nursery rhyme. It has that feel to it, which makes it more appropriate for children. Though the topic is very dark. And it says, once they're dead, and if they do their job, the last line just kills me, and as it killed them. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. Well, if these children do their duty, they're going to die. So yes, they should fear harm, but because they're good little boys and girls, they'll go to heaven, okay? So when you flip over to the next page, you see Songs of Experience. And when you look at that cover picture, okay. When you look at that cover picture, you see a slightly different version on Songs of Experience. You see now the mother lying in the bed, maybe the mother, and over that are the two children crying. And so one of the things about experience that happens is that as we experience life, we age. And if nothing else, you're going to die from age, okay? And so they're crying at the deathbed. And again, this one's not as dark as the one in the textbook, but you can see probably female, obviously probably more likely a male. And we've got the weeping family. So Songs of Experience show us that what's going to happen, people are going to die. And then when we look at the poem is much shorter. It's only 3 stanzas, but it's very similar. It's got those the 4 lines in each stanza, and then the couplets rhyming. A little black thing among the snow, crying weep, weep in notes of woe. Where are thy father and mother, say? They are both gone up to the church to pray. Because I was happy upon the heath and smiled among the winter snow, they clothed me in the clothes of death and taught me to sing the notes of woe. And because I am happy and dance and sing, they think they have done me no injury and are gone to praise God and his priest and king who make up a heaven of our misery. Much darker in tone about what's going on in here, okay? The first one, if you do your job, life will be, it'll be okay because you'll go to heaven. And the other one, it's as if the church, the family, and the king of the country, of England, have all combined together to kill the little children. And that picture is much more plaintive. The little boy walking with his bag over his shoulder. It's kind of sad. Let's move on and look at page 777. Right on, White America. I think this is a very effective poem. I said song. By Sonia Sanchez. And if you look at it on the page, it's very interesting format, isn't it? It's as if there's, things are back and forth or nothing's joined together. Do you have that feeling how everything is separated? And there might be a reason for that.